The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means. Tucker couldn't be reached for comment. He's already on a plane to Moscow to meet with his manager. But what a shock. I mean, what an absolutely delightful shock this is. Now Tucker can spend more time at home tanning his testicles and touching himself to that sexy green M&M. Sadly, he's probably not done poisoning old people's brains. The question now is, where will he do it next? Will he go to OAN? Will he go to Newsmax? Will he crawl back up Satan's fiery beehole from whence he came? We don't know. One of the most despicable mother Tuckers ever to appear on American television.
Scott, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know here. You sometimes offend people. I hear about it on the socials. Do you think that you should then be held to the same standard that you're asking for, that if someone says that you're offensive, that you're not doing civic discourse, that CNN should kick you off? I'm not worried about you and that happening to you in the present regime, but I am worried about other people in this building.
Two things. We don't fall under the same statutory regime. A. B, I expect to get fired every day. This is a tough business. And if I were Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, I'm surprised that a guy who once wore blackface and caused large-breasted women to jump on trampolines lasted this long in the media business to begin with. He was long past his sell date, and the fact that he couldn't realize that and was going down this road of partisan hackery, being unfunny and demonizing.
The chattering class is chattering away, my friends. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. Of course, yesterday evening, the news broke that Jimmy Kimmel would find himself off the air. Decision. I'm just hesitating because the decision is being blamed on Donald Trump. Go, Carlos, please. Cut number 2. Listen to this from ABC News' Elizabeth Schultz as she reports on it.
A spokesperson for the network saying Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. President Trump now calling Carr's decision to cancel Kimmel, quote, great news for America, turning his attention to late-night host Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers on NBC. The president writing, that leaves Jimmy and Seth, adding, do it, NBC. An immediate response from leading Democrats, from Senator Chuck Schumer to California Governor Gavin Newsom.
And they have been talking, we'll play some of those, but what's wrong with that report? The firing did not come from Donald Trump, nor did it come from FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. These people in the media apparently don't even understand the business that they're in. So let me explain something real quick for those that don't know. There is, number one, a difference between shows that are on network television and legacy network like ABC, like NBC, like CBS, and some of the other networks. These companies were granted access to the public airwaves. ABC does not own its own airwaves. Neither does CBS, neither do who owns them? They are the property of the United States of America. They are the public's airwaves, which is why the Federal Trade Commission has authority over them as a federal entity. Yes, Carlos?
Is there a network that does own their public airways, or however you said it?
That owns the airway. I'm glad you asked a fundamental question, and this is what Scott Jennings was referring to when he says, we don't fall under the same paradigm. Now, believe it or not, although you get the same sorts of programs now through streaming or however you access through, cable is a different matter. Cable doesn't fall under FCC regulations. They are not public airwaves. They are privately delivered through cable and now satellite services. They don't fall under the same government restrictions. They don't fall under, which is why you can use swear words all day long on cable. In fact, if you've been watching cable shows recently, even from established brands like certain news networks that are on cable, you'll hear the S word pop up occasionally. They can say it all day long. They can have a show that says SSSS or FU, this, that, and the other, all day long, and nobody has the authority to stop them from saying it. The internet does not fall under FCC. They are not public airwaves. You can say whatever you want and stream it. And you hear whatever you want. But those legacy media companies that fall under the jurisdiction of the federal government because they're on public airwaves have a license to broadcast. Hence, you hear FCC license. You hear the president talking about maybe the licenses of some of these companies should be removed because these companies have been patently biased for decades, tilting toward one party in this country for as long as anybody can remember. And they belong to the public. They don't belong to the Democrat Party, which seems to be what Democrats think. They don't belong to the Republican Party. They belong to the American people. That's number one. Number two, how are these shows on networks? Networks like ABC, like NBC, originally, back in the old days, they were allowed to have O&Os. What does that mean? Owned and operated by. So you had companies like CBS, NBC, ABC, they had, and even in radio, this was the case. They had, it was limited at one time to 13 O&Os. You can own 13 of these stations, but to prevent these companies from becoming monopolies, there was a limit on how many stations an individual, whether it's TV, radio, how many stations in the public airwaves these companies could own. So what did these companies do to become nationwide entities? They had affiliates. Affiliate stations that took their programming. And what grew out of that? Companies like Nexstar, companies like Sinclair Broadcasting, which owns, these companies own a lot of stations, and other companies in the local markets. Now, what happened yesterday was this. Disney, at first, didn't even make a move on Kimmel. ABC, Disney-owned company, didn't make the move on Kimmel. What happened was the owners of local stations, Nexstar and Sinclair, right behind it, said, you know what? We find this program so offensive to our local stations that we are going to preempt it. We're going to put something else in its place. Now, how do these stations get the programming? They pay for the programming. They pay Disney, ABC, to carry the show in hopes that it's so popular the revenue will help them, their local stations, make profit. And these stations have the right. And it is unprecedented what happened yesterday in this. Usually, the affiliates outside of the contracted time don't balk. As much as they may dislike something, as much as they may see a program sink, they don't usually do what they did yesterday. This was so offensive. What has been happening on Kimmel's show was so offensive to these station owners that own local stations that they said, you know what? No, we're not putting this on in our market. And in one case, to show you why, tomorrow, one of these networks, the Sinclair or either Nexstar, I think it's one of them, is having a special run about Charlie Kirk's life. Why? Because that's what they believe their audience wants to see. Instead, this is now being turned into a battle on the First Amendment. The First Amendment has nothing to do with this, folks. This is a business decision by people in the television business. And when Jimmy Kimmel lost the major affiliates in major markets to say, we don't want to air this show, Disney realized they couldn't continue with it. And that's when they made their announcement. And no one said fired yet. They're all saying suspended indefinitely. When we get back, so many people have weighed in. We'll hear from them. Among the people that has weighed in is Lord Obama, Lord Barack Obama, High Emperor, the Merciful. Praise be his name. He has weighed in, claiming that the Trump administration is threatening media companies to muzzle or fire people after them complaining about the cancel culture for years. Let me just say this before we take our break. You are not seeing a cancel culture. What you are seeing take place before your eyes and ears is a consequence culture. It's the same as you hear in these memes that go around. The FAFO meme. It's the same thing that you have when you hear people say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It means that now there is responsibility being attached to words from the left. They don't like it. We are going to take a break. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest 1 hour in American media history. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let's zero in on what Kimmel actually said, the basis for his suspension. Here's the late-night comedian on Monday.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Kimmel appeared to be making a point about alleged finger pointing by the right wing toward the left in the wake of Kirk's assassination. What he said did not appear to suggest that the suspect was a MAGA shooter. Also, important to note, ABC did not take action until days after this aired. In fact, it came shortly after the FCC chair.
Do you hear this? You heard what you just heard, and then you heard a CNN guy tell you you didn't hear what you just heard. He expressly tried to link the shooter to MAGA. He said it in those words. You hear the CNN guy, well, he did, what did you say? Didn't appear, and I tried it. And that was not the only thing he said. He also made a comment about President Trump. He said President Trump was mourning Charlie Kirk like a kid mourns his goldfish, equating Charlie to a goldfish, a pet. It was a disgusting remark. Now, of all people, well, I shouldn't say of all people, Geraldo Rivera that's cut 8. He'll speak for himself. Listen to this.
Jimmy Kimmel owes the family of Charlie Kirk and his wife Erica, 2 small children, an apology. What's he saying? That if you're a member of MAGA and Charlie is a friend of MAGA, then he had it coming. It just it's it's in some way, it's very extremely insensitive. The country's in a very tough spot right now. Everyone's walking on eggshells. The First Amendment is not a license to incite hatred. And, I think that we can start the discussion. Once Jimmy Kimmel apologizes, then they can talk about the business aspects and whether or not he gets back on the schedule and so forth. But there's got to be a recognition that a terrible thing has happened here and that millions of Americans are grievously hurt by what happened. There is Charlie Kirk was beloved by many. And to just tremble over it, he's not even buried yet, for goodness sake. And to make fun of the flags and half-staff and so forth, I just think that we've got to look at it with a notion that the country has to be healed, that we have to work to bring people together, that we need to respect each other. We don't have to agree, but we have to respect. And I think that, the audience has deserted him for a good reason.
And by the way, that audience desertion that Geraldo's talking about is real. The ratings, New York posted a story on this today, the ratings for that show fell 43%. Another reason why certain companies may have said this is the last straw. On top of falling ratings, we have to deal with this. Okay, I started talking about Lord Obama, the most merciful, blessed be his name. When we get back, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on what Obama has said about all this and why I think it's important to remember history. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
In light of the censoring and cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel for telling the truth, it should be clear to us that it is happening and is happening completely, which means we have one opportunity left before us, and that is to use our collective power. All the power we have left is as a collective. If we all were to cancel our Disney memberships, if we were all to cancel our cable and ABC, if we were all to actually put action behind our words and say no to the corporate media structures that are complicit in Trump's authoritarian takeover, we might make a difference. But until we are willing to put our action where our mouths are and do something, the snowball of momentum will continue to roll right over us. The time is now.
Do it! Do it! All right. Lord Barack Obama, the merciful, praise be his name, slams Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, as do many other Democrats. They're whining and moaning like you can't believe. He says the Trump administration is threatening media companies to muzzle or fire people after years of complaining about cancel culture. After years of complaining about the cancel culture, the current administration has taken it to a new and dangerous level by routinely threatening regulatory action against media companies unless they muzzle or fire reporters and commentators it doesn't like. He put on X. I happen to work many years, decades actually, 3+, with the most famous radio commentator in American history, Rush Hudson Limbaugh III. During those 3 decades, I saw things happen and sometimes felt powerless as they were happening, the lies, the smears, from American politicians. President of the United States, Bill Clinton, tried his best in a speech that you can easily find if you Google it, in the aftermath of one of the most, at the time, the worst terrorist attack on American soil, the Oklahoma City bombing, when he tried to blame Rush and talk radio for creating that atmosphere that was meant to put pressure on the radio stations, the outlets, that carried Rush Limbaugh's program and try to have that program canceled. He also went on KMOX, a Rush affiliate station, radio station, and complained that Rush has a whole 3 hours to sit, as he put it, and say things, and poor Bill Clinton, who had the bully pulpit, who had access to every single news media outlet in America, poor Bill Clinton didn't have a chance to come on and tell the truth. At which Rush responded, I do tell the truth. In fact, I am the truth detector. I detect the truth. And that was one of the many monikers he used for years after that appearance by Bill Clinton on KMOX. But the left did not stop there. These same Democrats, some of them are still sitting in the House of Representatives, like Auntie Maxie Waters. At the time, there was Democrat Eloise, I think is her first name, Slaughter, from New York. And a bunch of these Democrats in Congress got together and seriously, despite the First Amendment of these United States, seriously tried to push forth an amendment that we call and we label the Hush Rush Bill. It would have pretty much silenced the Rush Limbaugh programming by demanding that radio stations that carried Rush also then had to go out and find 3 hours of liberal crap to put on their airs to respond. It would have crippled the show had that become law in direct violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. They didn't care. These Democrats, and some of them, Maxine Waters was one of them back at the time, mouthing off. And over the years, they have complained about Rush. Not one word. Disney, ABC. Let's talk about what liberals did when they actually did fire somebody, not indefinitely suspend, just outright fired him. There was a moment when Rush Limbaugh, aside from the great responsibilities he had on radio, also took place on a Sunday show on ESPN. Some pregame football show. Yeah. He made a comment, asked a question about then quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, Donovan McNabb. In essence, what he said, it was that Rush said he thought that the American media, the liberal media, wanted to see a black quarterback succeed, so they were not going to be as critical of McNabb as they should be. That's in essence what he said. That was turned by the usual suspects in the mainstream media and politics as Rush is racist, and he's being racist toward McNabb. They put cameras in front of him. What do you think, Rush Limbaugh racist? Rush never said anything about Donovan McNabb's skill. Never. Oh, I'm getting to that, Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike just texted me. Don't forget Harry Reid. Mr. Mike, Rush's broadcast engineer all these years. Oh, I'm getting to that. ESPN fired him. They didn't ask any questions. There was no debate. The affiliates didn't rise up and say, oh, you have to take this off. Disney, ESPN, fired him on the spot, even though the accusations were A, not true, and B, within the grounds of opinion, which is what they had hired him for. Not one of these damn groups out here complaining today, SAG and AFTRA, the union for these television people, out today complaining about Jimmy Kimmel. Not one of these damn leftists, not at the time senator before he became Lord Obama complained about it. Not one of them. SAG, AFTRA, none of them. Variety magazine has a piece today about how Jimmy Kimmel's express hope that if Trump came after him, those on the right will support my right to free speech. But when has the left ever supported anybody's right for free speech that they disagree with? Name me a time. Then you had the Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid, send a letter to the owners of Clear Channel, and he got the name wrong, demanding that Rush pretty much be taken off the air, and it was a big deal, well publicized. In fact, we made a parody song about it on the program, The Letter to the Box Tops, The Letter. Then you had Hillary Clinton, who was the First Lady. After First Lady, she became United States Senator and then Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton's investment into Media Matters, which sole job was coming after conservative targets trying to stir up and foment boycotts. In Obama's time, you had Lord Obama, the most merciful, praise be his name, attack not just Rush. He even started his attacks on Rush Limbaugh before he took office. He had a meeting. He called for a meeting before he was inaugurated at George Will's house, conservative commentator George Will. And he told the conservatives in that room, excuse me, including David Brooks, who from the New York Times, who went out and praised Obama because he had never seen the crease in a man's pants like Obama had. Obama had the damn finest crease in his pants of anybody, Lord Obama, that ever lived. And David Brooks, Mr. Conservative, couldn't get over the crease in Obama's pants. Meanwhile, Obama sat there before he even took office and targeted Rush Limbaugh and said, you people need to stop listening to Rush Limbaugh. And he made it a point of his administration, every chance he got, to not only attack Rush Limbaugh, but to attack Fox News. And this man sits on his most merciful ass today and starts talking about Jimmy Kimmel and how Trump is doing this. His White House did it. And now, my friends, let us remember a little bit of histoire. Histoire. From the Obama days, there was a very famous comedian in America. Her name was Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr, funny as it may seem today, got fired from who? The Disney people, the ABC people. They lowered the boom on Roseanne. And this is Roseanne, cut 16, discussing how the boom got lowered on her.
Like I say, these are my jokes. Yeah. Because she's the one that got me fired, you know.
Michelle?
Yeah, she's the one that called ABC and said I had to go.
Are you serious?
My racist tweet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this public information?
I've said it.
Michelle Obama.
She said it. It's got to be true.
It is too. I'm going to smack you right across your face.
Well, I applaud you on when you're right, but when you say things like Donald Trump is still the president and there's not going to be an election,
I said
well, you
the
must
commander-in-chief.
I respect the hell out of you, but when you say things like that.
Change everything.
No, I'm not changing anything.
I said commander-in-chief. Now listen. Bob Iger, who fired me, said his first phone call was to Valerie Jarrett to apologize to her, and that Michelle Obama also got on the phone with them, and that Obama called him afterward to thank him for firing me. So that's in the paper. I didn't make it up.
I believe you.
I didn't make it up.
That's something that sounds very credible.
Iger's many interviews where he talked about it.
On the subject of terrible things posted online, the biggest story of the day today was Roseanne. Roseanne.
That's Jimmy Kimmel.
You're not going to believe this, but she tweeted something outrageous. I know. Yeah, right. The president did it, too. It's crazy. Anyway, ABC decided to cancel their highest-rated show, Roseanne, following a tweet in which Roseanne compared an African-American woman, a former advisor to President Obama, to an ape, which did not sit well with ABC management or anyone with a brain, really. So they announced that this first season of the show is also its last, which is a huge blow to business. I mean, we don't have much on this network. We're hoping the NBA Finals goes 11 games this year. We're still airing America's Funniest Home Videos, okay? Roseanne was a very bigly hit for ABC, and we needed it. But I say, why just listen, hear me out. Just because Roseanne is gone doesn't mean the whole show has to go. The show must go on. That's what we say in show business. And with that said, I have an idea that I think makes this work for everyone.
America's favorite working class family is back. With all the cast members you love.
Okay, it's a Kimmel gig, so it's not really funny. Let's just move past that. Obama called ABC to congratulate them. Michelle Obama, through Valerie Jarrett, Roseanne's got to go. They did it. Obama didn't complain. Obama didn't say a damn word about freedom of speech. In fact, he got on the phone with the head of Disney and congratulated him. Thank you for getting rid of that broad. Okay, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear all these whiny cries about Trump, this, that, the other. You people have owned, in these major networks, you have owned the three networks ever since their inception, ever since they were really two networks. Many people don't even realize that at the time of their creation, ABC and NBC were owned by the same company. And they had the red network, the blue network, but they were both owned by ABC. They split off. So it was CBS, ABC, NBC. Ever since they have been created, they have been downright hostile to Republicans. I told you earlier this week, went through the history of how Harry Truman was the first one started calling Republicans Nazi and fascist 3 years after World War II ended. Ever since these networks have been created, they have hated Republicans, and they have done everything they can to end the Republican careers of duly elected Republicans. And I have zero sympathy at this time or any other time when a member of the mainstream media, the stations that have to air their crap, decides they don't want to air it anymore. We got to go. There is nothing First Amendment about this. This is all, to use a coin of phrase using the hood, this is all about business. It's all about business. Coming back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, on the Rush Limbaugh point, Mike, thank you for reminding me exactly of what it was, the phony soldier bit. The claim that Harry Reid made against Rush, that Rush had said something that basically denigrated members of the military. Now, Rush Limbaugh's whole entire career has been about nothing but helping and supporting not only the American military, but the American people. And he and his wife have donated so much money to help fallen members of the military. It was a disastrous ploy by Harry Reid to lie about Rush, Senate Majority Leader. But I want to remind you something else. Rush tried to join a group that was going to purchase the L.A. Rams. And these media outlets, some of these same media outlets today, published things that were created online that was some of the most horrid things about Rush, and quotes supposedly from Rush that were totally made up by leftist activists. And as a result, That didn't happen. Rush never went on the air and complained about it. He never complained about the stuff that was done to him from these people. Let me tell you something. They were vicious then, and including from the top down, from Obama, from Clinton, to members in Congress, they have all tried to stifle his career and did for the entire time he was on the air. They have tried to take Fox News out. They tried to take out Tucker Carlson. They tried to take out anybody that poses a threat to their power. So these crocodile tears that they're crying today, and for the record, you have never heard me gloat over Jimmy Kimmel or anyone else losing their job. I don't gloat over people losing their jobs. But I'm not going to sit here and watch what's happening now and not comment on how hypocritical it is. This is the day that Jimi Hendrix joined the 27 Club in 1970. So we leave you with some Jimmy today. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, always, for your being here with me and allowing me to be with you. God willing, Almighty God willing, we're back tomorrow for the Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?